Invader Zim is an early 2000s TV show that premiered with the original idea of having a total of 40 episodes, 20 for each season, and revolved around the basic idea of alien from faraway planet comes to take over the Earth for their cause. Without any further delay, let's dive straight into the recap of this iconic TV show. Before we get into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Planet Urkin is full of aliens that are interested in expansion. Although all of them are short, their military prowess is nothing to be smirked at. Zim was one of these Urkin invaders, but he's got that curse of bad luck or something, because whatever it is, everything he tries to do results in absolutely horrendous turnarounds. Because of his antics in Operation Impending Doom, the superiors of his race, the almighty tallest, banished him to Food Cordia, which Zim didn't take as a punishment. He served there as a restaurant food delivery guy until he got word of Operation Impending Doom 2. Being the absolute buffoon that he is, he just decided that he'll quit being banished and headed to Conventia, looking to get an assignment. Frustrated and baffled at how Zim manages to keep being this annoying, the almighty tallest decided to rid themselves of him permanently, using a fake mission scenario they created. They sent him to Earth, which was the planet furthest from them, to conquer it. This was all just a ruse though, as the real motivation behind sending him so far away was to keep him from bothering their home race again. Now that he's on Earth, he knows just one goal: to take over Earth for the Urkian Empire. He decides to disguise himself as a regular school-going kid, but he gets identified by a kid obsessed with paranormal stuff called Dib. Now, he has to work around his evil schemes while making sure that Dib doesn't ruin his plans for world dominance. Invader Zim had a bunch of characters appear in the show, all in different episodes. However, there was a total of 4 characters that we got to see in almost every episode. Zim, the indomitable extraterrestrial at the heart of Invader Zim, stands merely a fraction of the average Urkin height, but compensates with an oversized ego and unbridled determination. This green-skinned invader is driven by an unrelenting ambition to conquer Earth for the Urkin Empire, despite his banishment and lack of support from his own people. Possessing a flamboyant personality and unwavering self-confidence, Zim's absurd and often misguided schemes unfold with a mix of comedic stupidity and moments of unexpected genius. As he navigates the challenges of camouflaging into human society, Zim's relentless pursuit of conquest shapes the show's eccentric and entertaining narrative. Gur is a lovable, dysfunctional robot that emphasizes chaos and whimsy. Designed as Zim's loyal companion, Gur's exterior appearance complements his true nature. Unpredictable, irreverent, and downright eccentric. Usually seen in a green dog suit, Gur displays a childhood enthusiasm for food, entertainment, and random outbursts. His malfunctioning circuits contribute to his endearing quirks, making him a standout character in the series. Unconstrained by logic, Gur injects an element of unpredictability into Zim's plans, alternating between utter silliness and brief flashes of astuteness. Despite his unconventional behavior, Gur's antics have made him that much more lovable to fans, making him one of the show's most iconic and anchoring characters. Adding to the show's comedic landscape, Dib, the relentless antagonist of Invader Zim, emerges as a tenacious force against extraterrestrial threats. Armed with intelligence and a keen interest in the paranormal, Dib becomes Earth's unlikely defender against Zim's invasion attempts. Sporting a distinctive hairstyle and a perpetually skeptical demeanor, Dib's character embodies determination and curiosity. Despite facing ridicule from peers and skepticism from his own family, Dib remains unyielding in his pursuit of uncovering the truth about Zim's identity and thwarting the aliens' plans. His dynamic with Zim fuels the show's narrative, creating a compelling clash between the earnest human investigator and the comically overconfident extraterrestrial invader. Gaz, in Invader Zim, is Dib's sister, a calm girl who loves video games. She doesn't care much about her brother's alien investigations. With a serious face, Gaz seems uninterested in the strange things happening around her. But beneath her quiet attitude, she's smart and sometimes shows her feelings. Gaz doesn't get excited about Zim and Dib's adventures, making her a calm contrast to their craziness. Even though she seems uninterested, Gaz adds a cool and collected touch to the show, balancing out the wild and funny moments with her calm and quiet personality. That about wraps it up for the main characters. Now, let's dive into the chaotic and undeniably hilarious events that happen in the episodes of Invader Zim. We're also going to be looking at the more recent movie, so stick around. Now begins the main story of the series, where we're introduced to an alien race of green people called Urks. These aliens are shown to be dominators by nature, and their main goal is to send their people to different planets to take them over, and add them to the Urkan Empire. However, there's one Urkan invader that the people of Urk despised, mainly because every time he tried to do something, it ended in some kind of disaster, affecting not only himself, but his fellow Urkan invaders. The Urks had this one mission called Operation Impending Doom, in which our tiny green bean took part. But because of his insanely bad luck and how much he messes things up, the mission failed miserably, and he was banished to a cafeteria-type planet called Food Cordia. Luckily for Zim, his brain couldn't process the reason for him being sent there, and he took it as a sort of time off. During his banishment, he got word of Operation Impending Doom 2, and since he didn't want to grasp the meaning behind his banishment, he forcibly came back and showed his desire to take part in the mission. As any sane person would, the Urks got frustrated by him, and to ensure that he didn't ruin the new mission as well, they sent him away in the guise of a secret mission. He had to take over Earth. Overjoyed with his new task, Zim got in his spaceship and headed straight for Earth. Once he landed on the blue and green ball, he saw the humans there and decided to disguise himself as a regular school-going kid to gather information on the behavior of the inhabitants and use this to his advantage. Since he was still new to the environment of the Earth, he did some suspicious things at school and attracted unwanted attention from an obsessive kid named Dib. This guy was like your typical obsessed with paranormal activity character, who everyone thought of as the weird kid. Zim's abnormal conduct made him suspicious, and eventually, Dib found out that he was an alien. With this knowledge, he knew that exposing Zim would not only save the world, but would also bring him unparalleled fame. So he made a deal with himself to go all in and make sure Zim's identity was brought into the light. Thus, the main clash in the series had begun. Still, going along was going to be difficult for Zim, as the kids started to call him inhuman for having no friends. So our tiny alien went around the school looking for possible candidates to be his best friend by performing 3 tests on them: absorbance, electroconductivity, and something involving a beaver and a toy taxi, which appeared to be very painful. Eventually, one kid called Keith managed to pass the test but never left Zim's side. Eventually, Zim got tired of him and had to give him a gift. Using that gift, Zim replaced his eyes with artificial hypnotic eyes to better control him. Gruesome, right? There's more. After controlling Keith, Zim had him jump off a cliff into a fiery explosion with his robotic companion Gur making cake batter. Dib had to step up his plan to defeat Zim and reveal his identity. One night, Gur forgot to close Zim's door, and Dib took this chance to sneak in and take revealing pictures of Zim that would confirm his identity as an alien. Before he could be caught, Dib escaped. So naturally, Zim had to do something, lest his plan to take over the Earth fail. Zim created a microscopic spaceship to invade Dib's mind and control him to destroy the floppy disk that contained the sensitive pictures. He ended up crushing the disk, but Dib had a backup hidden somewhere around the house. Not knowing where it was, Zim decided to just erase Dib's memory of it. However, this time, Dib wasn't about to sit back and let himself be controlled. He used his father's, Professor Membrane's, nanoship to counter-invade his mind and beat Zim out of it. Before he could do so, his sister Gaz, who was very fond of video games, saw him controlling the ship and mistook it for a game. Gaz then expressed her desire of wanting to play the video game too and snagged the controls from Dib. Eventually, she ended up beating Zim and putting her name as a high score on the machine. Zim managed to erase the memory, but in the end got flushed out of Dib's mind. So the crisis was averted by Zim for now. The next strange adventure began with a discovery that led to a funny episode. Zim found out about tiny things called germs, and oh boy did he get scared of them. He imagined these super tiny threats were everywhere, even though he couldn't see them. Right in the middle of Zim's germ freakout, Dib saw a chance to show everyone what Zim was. So they had a tiny battle that was like a war between Zim and the germs. It was silly and made everyone laugh, especially when they saw how Zim reacted to the tiny things on Earth. He eventually won, but the fear of germs still haunted him, and it shows how he was always a bit silly and vulnerable. Being afraid of germs is not unheard of, but still very uncommon. So to reduce any unwanted suspicions against him, Zim wanted to be more like humans. So he came up with this strange idea of collecting human organs. Yep, you heard it right. Organs. He thought having these body parts would make him seem more human. What a silly idea. As the story went on, Dib figured out Zim's plan. They had a funny argument about it. The best part was when Zim tried to fit in with humans, but he was so bad at it that everyone just laughed. Next thing you know, a mysterious package arrives at Zim's doorstep. Excitedly tearing it open, Zim discovers a doomsday device inside. But oh dear, he misunderstands everything. Instead of realizing it's just a mix-up or a prank, Zim thinks it's an alien plot against him. And so, the chaos begins. As Zim goes on a wild adventure to escape the supposed alien threat, there are a lot of funny moments where he misinterprets things. Imagine Zim hiding from everyday objects, thinking they're a part of the plot. When everything settles down, we see the consequences of Zim's stupid overthinking. Keep in mind that this was the same alien that the Urks wanted to rid themselves of because he tended to ruin everything to hell. More and more of Zim is being revealed, as we now see he is deathly afraid of germs and water. Picture this. At the start of the episode, Zim is terrified of water, and everyone wonders why. Then Dib organizes a huge water balloon fight at school. He knows about Zim's fear and takes advantage of it, leading to a wild and watery fight between the two main characters. In a time-traveling adventure, a piggy starts the story by messing with history. Imagine the chaos when things go topsy-turvy. Zim feared this would lead to unwanted effects on his conquest, so he decided to go all in and fix the time anomalies that the pig had ended up creating. Zim and the piggy jump through different eras, causing all sorts of funny and unexpected situations. In the end, Zim manages to restore balance in his timeline, except for a few minor setbacks. The next phase of Operation Impending Doom 2 begins with Zim and Gur accidentally changing reality itself. Oops! The middle of the episode is a journey through a bizarre alternate dimension, where everything is out of place and unfamiliar to the two Crusaders. Hopping from dimension to dimension and fixing what needs to be fixed, reality gets back to normal. But not without some quirky twists. It's a whimsical reminder of the unpredictable nature of Zim's actions. In his quest for power and dominance, Zim can turn the world upside down, creating alternate dimensions that are as funny as they are strange. And now, brace yourself for the hamster apocalypse. It all starts with Zim's crazy hamster power scheme gone wrong. The middle of the episode is a wild ride of chaos as hamsters run amok, causing all sorts of mayhem. Imagine hamsters taking over the world, and only Zim could come up with such a wild plan. It wasn't intentional, of course, but since it was Zim's mess, he had to clean up after him to make sure there was no loose ends. Who would have thought that hamsters could be so powerful when running amok? Things could have definitely taken a turn for the worse. In the end, Zim's adventures continued to entertain us with their wackiness and unexpected twists. Zim needed to get the approval of his superintendent, the almighty tallest, so he just sent out space probes to different planets to see if there was anything that he could use in his conquest. Using the probes, he saw how the Martians had turned the whole planet into a spaceship. But because of their incompetence, the whole race had been wiped out, leaving only the ship. Zim thought quickly and decided that ramming a planet into Earth would be the fastest way to destroy it. Zim then boards the Mars ship and sets a course straight for Earth. However, Dib was still listening in, using his probes on Mars. He decided to get help from NASA Place, but he already went there a lot, so people were hesitant to help him out. However, a janitor decided to let him use an old spaceship to get to Mercury, another planet that was turned into a spaceship. Thus, Dib went to Mercury to pilot it to ram it into Zim, changing his travel course to miss the Earth. And then the fight between the two began once again. This time, they were using whole planets to try and beat the other. They zoomed around the galaxy on their spaceships, and Zim ended up hitting an asteroid belt, which knocked him straight out of the planet. Dib was recording everything on his video camera, but the deaf robot companion Gur grabbed the camera just as they were about to be hit. Zim called the almighty tallest and told him it was nothing more than a warm-up test for when he does overthrow the people of Earth. That is never going to happen because of how bad Zim is at being useful. It had been quite a while since Zim arrived, and it was now Valentine's Day. The school principal allowed the kids to celebrate, and everyone was excited about sharing traditional Valentine's Day meat slabs. Zim was horrified by the meat because he was allergic to it. Meanwhile, Dib receives meat slabs from Gretchen. Curious about the origins of the meat thing, Dib asked Miss Bitters, the strange teacher, who left him with even more questions than before. Suddenly, a mysterious new girl named Tack arrived with her cat Mimi. She started handing out sausages to everyone, except Zim, who couldn't eat meat. Instead, Tack recited a mysterious poem and then bombarded Zim with meat, making him think she had a crush on him. Thinking he could study human love rituals, Zim tried to woo Tack, but he had absolutely no riz at all. Disappointed, he decided Tack was no longer useful to him. But to his surprise, Tak followed him home and revealed herself as a member of the Urkin race. Tak explained that Zim's past action on planet Devastus had ruined her chances of becoming an invader. Back for revenge, she made her aim clear. But Zim wasn't going to buckle so easily. Tak unleashed nanobots to destroy Zim's base, forcing an unexpected alliance between Zim, Gur, Dib, and Gaz. They joined forces to stop Tak's plan to hollow out Earth's core and fill it with snacks for the Urkin leaders. In a thrilling chase and battle against Tak's destructive plan, Zim and his unlikely allies managed to thwart her. Zim proudly reported his success to the Urkin leaders. Instead of praise, he received disappointment, because apparently the almighty tallest loved snacks. Meanwhile, Dib was gazing at the stars on his roof, wondering about aliens, when suddenly something crashed into the lawn, Tak's ship. Isn't that just lovely? Especially the smile that he shows at the end proves that he will be up to no good with that piece of alien tech. Now that there's a new Urkin in school, Zim is going to have to step up his game for world domination, or else Gib will use his newfound spaceship to expose Zim's identity and become a world-famous paranormal investigator. This season starts off with Zim concocting a new plan to bring the almighty tallest to Earth to witness his new plan for world domination. Little does he know that they are being attacked by a group called the Resisti. Dib tinkers around with Tak's ship until he creates a connection to the almighty tallest mothership, which they catch onto, and to safeguard their secrets, they route the ship to Earth and make it self-destruct while evacuating to the surface of the planet. Here's the fun part. Tinkering with the ship made it break down, so Dib had to look for another way to expose Zim. Now that all the scientific stuff has proven useless, Dib decides to summon a magical ghost named Mortos de Soul Stealer, who can grant one wish to the summoner. No one knew that the ghost would be a lazy bum just moping around eating and resting. After tons of convincing, Mortos granted some random person's wish instead and went back to his home realm. Now, back at school, the president wasn't showing enough school spirit, and that made everyone worried. So a new president was needed to be chosen. And guess who eagerly raised his green hand for the job? Yep, Zim was not going to pass up the opportunity to gain power. Dib tried to stop this madness. He said Zim was criminally insane. But everyone just found him annoying and ignored his warnings. And so, the stage was set for a wild election. Enter Willie, an extremely not-so-smart schoolchild. Despite his lack of intelligence, he was considered leadership material. The first debate between Zim and Willie was a sight to behold. Zim promised the school children the most ridiculous things, and they loved it. On the other hand, Willie just babbled incoherently. Seeing that Earth needed a chance, Dib became Willie's campaign manager. In the final debate, things started well for Zim, but Willie made a surprising comeback, thanks to the words fed to him by Dib through a communicator. When the votes were counted, Willie was declared the new school president. Hooray! But wait, the story doesn't end there. Zim had a trick up his alien sleeve. The school principal and the board brainwashed Willie to become their puppet, controlled by their every command. In a way, Zim was saved, and he could continue to do as he pleased. For now, going back to Zim and his evil plans that take over the world, he realized that Christmas was a celebration for all people in the world, and he decided to use the idea of Santa Claus to abduct people's minds and take over them. But as we already know, Zim never makes inventions that do exactly as they're told. So the Santa suit that he made malfunctioned and turned Zim into the actual Santa Claus. Dib beats the possessed version of Santa and launches him into space. 2 million year time skip happens wherein we see the Santa suit is now ginormous and comes to Earth every Christmas to eat all the milk and cookies from people's houses. And that is how Season 2 ended. Although there were 13 more episodes planned, the company decided to cancel production of the show indefinitely, until the show got revived in the form of a movie. The movie begins with Zim still pursuing his goal of conquering Earth, but he becomes disheartened when his leaders, the almighty tallest, continue to ignore him. Zim, feeling unappreciated, decides to go into hiding. Meanwhile, Dib has been waiting for Zim's return to resume his efforts to expose the alien invader's identity. Dib's obsession with Zim has left him as the only one prepared for Zim's sudden reappearance. Zim, to make himself more relevant to his leaders, constructs a giant structure called the Florpus, a device that he believes will bring the Urkin Armada to Earth. However, Zim's lack of understanding and his tendency for chaos causes unintended consequences. Now, Professor Membrane becomes entangled in the chaos, caused by Zim's Florpus device. Dib convinces his father to help him stop Zim's latest plan, setting the stage for a confrontation between the two archenemies. As the story unfolds, it becomes clear that Zim's Florpus device is a massive teleporter. The Florpus opens a portal to an alternate dimension, leading to a surreal and chaotic series of events that challenges both Zim and Dib. In the end, Zim's plan backfires, and he ends up being sucked into the Florpus along with Dib, Gur, and other characters. However, the film leaves room for the possibility of future adventures as Zim, Dib, and Gur are shown alive and well in an unknown location. And that's all we have about Invader Zim. Hit that like button if you had as much fun watching the video as I did making it. Click here to watch the next video for more mind-blowing content.